All right, guys, here we are. It is Monday, right after the draft. Lots of things has changed. However, this is the first time that we are getting Best Ball Mania this season. So Joe won't be with us today. His voice is kind of scratchy, so you just get me. But welcome to the show, and let's hit it. We are doing a Best Ball Mania draft right now on Underdog. So let's get it done. So a couple of things. Lots of things have changed from just last Thursday to today. A lot of things that we've been looking at, a lot of rookies that we've been looking at. A lot of things have definitely been the landscape has been changed a little bit. So when we think about all of the things that we've been talking about, and we take a look and we say, okay, what are the big risers and fallers? What are the big ADP movements that we're probably going to see? We're probably going to see a lot of these rookies kind of come down to earth. Joe and I were talking about this on last Wednesday's show. And we were saying that guys like Omarion Hampton, guys like Tet McMillan, guys like Ashton Genty, their values will probably be really tied into their landing spots. We see that Ashton Genty has an okay landing spot. We also see that Omarion Hampton's probably going to be battling at least a little bit throughout this season with Najee Harris. So as we look at these risers and fallers, as we look at these rookies, we're probably going to see a little bit of value that we can kind of eke out within Underdog here. Now, again, Underdog Best Ball Mania, $25 buy-in. Big grand prize to first place. It's going to be hard to lock in, but one of the things that we're going to be looking for, we're going to be looking for some nice stacks. We're going to be looking for some stacking partners, and we're going to be aware of potential week 17 matchups that will put us over the edge. So as we look at it here, I got the 11th pick. Not a great position to be in, but I'm hoping that we can turn this 11th pick hopefully into Brian Thomas Jr. because I'm liking a potential Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter kind of stack. Not a hugest fan of Trevor Lawrence, but we'll see how that goes. We'll also be looking at down here to probably pull up Bucky Irving. I'm really liking that the information that we're getting from Tampa Bay is that, they're really trying to invest also in that wide receiver room. So the wide receiver room is going to be really, 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 really solid. But also that they didn't go out and get anybody else in the running back room. And so one of the things that I might be looking at is that I might be looking to just take Devin Achane at value. Devin Achane at the turn there after my pick. It'd be nice if he stuck around a little bit. We could get what we're seeing here is that, yes, they went out and got a rookie. They still do have Jalen Wright. But the message on the board is that they're looking for someone that's just a little bit different than Achane to try to carry the load. So will it be Ollie Gordon? Will it be Jalen Wright? We'll see. But with pick 11 coming up here, I think that I am, if Brian Thomas is on the board, I'm probably going to go Brian Thomas. I like the situation that he's in. Again, not super volume, but the volume that he does get is really, I'm willing to bet that it will be great this year. I do also like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but we're gonna take Brian Thomas. Especially knowing that if we take a look at Brian Thomas Jr. and we take a look and compare him to what Travis Hunter or Diami Brown could put out there, Travis Hunter is definitely more electric. This also opens up some Brenton Strange action for us. So this could either be Derrick Henry, Achane. We're going to go with Achane here. I wanted to bring up Bucky, but with Achane available there, I'm going to go Achane. Now, the reasoning behind this conversation of Bucky versus Achane, and I know Joe and I have talked about it quite a bit. But the volume is going to be on Bucky's side this year. We saw that Rachaad White definitely isn't the favorite in the system. Sean Tucker, maybe a distant second behind Bucky. But when we look at what we just said about Achane, one of the things to be aware of is that they want him to have a prominent role on this team. By taking Achane, you're also opening up a Tua stack. with potentially a Jonnu a little bit later. And I'm willing to invest in that. Bucky's stacking partners cost a little bit more. So if you're looking at, if I'm sitting here at pick 11, I would have to push Mike Evans up decently early. I might not even get him at all. And then getting Baker would be very complicated on the comeback. So Bucky has his place. I really like Bucky this year. And Joe and I will talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday when he's back, of why Bucky could be a tremendous option this year, just for what he's worth. I think that sitting at 2.9 for Tyreek is a little too high. We still are really not sure what's happening with Tyreek. Bucky going where he normally goes, taking a look at the board. Let's see what the board's looking like here. All right, so we have Bucky, Ladd, T coming off the board. I think T is a tremendous value. I really would hesitate to pick T with Jamar. I understand the purpose of the stack. I really do. But we'll see where Joe Burrow lands with the new ADPs here. He ended up taking Josh Allen. If you're going to take T and Jamar, not taking Burrow, that doesn't quite make any sense. So as we look at it here, the second team, Gustafsson, has two really strong backs. He's probably going to be hammering wide receivers coming up very, very shortly. His next three picks will probably be wide receivers. Looking at the color distribution for pick 5, there's going to be a couple of wide receivers coming off the board there. We might be able to swing around and get Jane Daniels potentially. We'll see if Terry McLaurin, the stacking partner that I would really want, would be there. He's not. So we'll probably bypass Jane Daniels here. Maybe we'll bring up Devonta Smith. Maybe. Let's see. But I do like DJ Moore. DJ Moore's situation has changed dramatically for the last couple of with those picks. I still think he's in a great offense potential-wise, so I am going to take DJ Moore here. I do like his potential, especially with Caleb Williams. They are making a case right now to say we are going to air it out. By keeping DeAndre Swift, they're saying we're going to air it out. And, Mike Evans ended up coming back to me. Is he the best value on the board? Potentially. Yeah, we're going to go Mike Evans here. So let's see. So saying I missed my pick, let's see what it gave me anyway. All right, we got Mike Evans anyway. That's who we wanted. So I think coming around, we're pretty solid in the wide receiver market. Brian Thomas, DJ Moore, Mike Evans. As we said, though, Joe and I have come across this a lot of times where we've brought up the point that Mike Evans is getting older. Mike Evans, by them taking Igbuka, there is a call to say that maybe Mike Evans or Chris Godwin's time is coming sooner rather than later. But as it stands right now, Mike Evans is still a really, really, really good pick. Especially with fourth round value here. I would probably take him more over Tet anyway at that point in time. Morning, family. How's it going? After this draft happened, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts. I'm really interested to see where guys like Omarion Hampton land. I'm really interested to see where guys like Trevion Henderson land, knowing that their landing spots maybe not as great as they could have been. I love the A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Devonta Smith, Malik Neighbors build. It kind of signals that you want to go Jalen Hurts there in the 5th round. So, Jalen Hurts will not be coming back to us. Again, number 9 with the, wide receiver, tight end, running back, quarterback. Not a huge fan of that start. Chase Brown, though, when Joe comes back today, or when Joe comes back on Wednesday, we're going to have to talk about Chase Brown, because Chase Brown, what they did by going out and getting the running back that they got, it signals to me that Chase Brown is going to get still a decent amount of volume, maybe not the volume that he was at last year, but I do kind of like his position a little bit more right now than I did last week. I made my 110 pick. One guy offered Lamb for it and BTJ. Oh man, I like that idea. I had Warren Judkins, Darton, Golden available. Dude, if I could get Lamb and BTJ for the 110, man, family, I hope you got Lamb and BTJ, because Lamb is about to get 200 targets. That's no joke. He is lined up to get a tremendous amount of targets this year, and I don't think anybody realizes that. Hey, Darkside, what's up, man? What's up? So we're sitting here right now. We have BTJ, HN, DJ Moore, Mike Evans. Coming back around, Ken Walker's off the board. There goes Travis Hunter. Didn't get him. That's okay. Travion Henderson in the 5th round is all right too. Maybe this could be Judkins. I could go again. We could pair this Chris Godwin with Baker. Let's see the ADP on Baker here. Will we have a chance to get Baker when he comes back? So Baker's at ADP 87. We should be able to get him. You know what? We're going to go. We're going to end up getting this stack. I'm going to do it. We're going to do it. We're going to hope for it. Hope it happens. You guys know how I like that. Baker should be there on the comeback at 83. So I'm not going to force Baker this pick. If I don't get Baker on the next, that's okay. We're going to push ahead. I'm probably, knowing the draft capital spent, guys, you know me, I'm not a huge Kamara fan, but I'm going to take Kamara here. Not a huge fan of Kamara, but again, at value, I think that a 6th-round Kamara is where I'd probably put him at. Oh, he wanted BTJ and a 110 for his Lamb. That's wild. That is delusional. I wouldn't have. Yeah. Okay. I wouldn't have done that. I thought it was the other way around. But Lamb is about to get crazy. You selected one of those 4. Ooh. I'm betting if you took Warren, Joe would be in love right now. If you could took Judkins, I think that Judkins is a tremendous option there. With Dylan Sampson being there as well, I'm not, and still Jerome Ford, I'm really not sure how this room is going to shake down. So I think it pushes Judkins, Sampson, and Ford further down the board than most people want. Yeah, I mean, some of the pre-draft exposures, it's the landing spots have been really interesting. The tech combination is nice. The golden exposures, I'm not too excited about for myself, Dark Side, but I do like my Bryce Young exposures a decent amount now with them going out and getting Ted. I'm not happy about my Najee exposures at all. Travion, I'm happy about it, but I'm also, not 1,000% on, loving that situation. The Kyle Williams exposures are pretty nice too. Having Judkins here, I think that when we see where Judkins went down here in the 6th round, I think that I would personally right now, not knowing what that situation is going to look like and knowing that the Saints went out and got a later running back and they invested in Tyler Shook. And now Tyler Shook, we'll see what time will tell about Tyler Shook. But with all of these running backs coming off the board in the 6th round, I am least offended by Alvin Kamara at this point in time. The Tet and Bryce stacks are tremendous. Like walking into the Tet and Bryce stacks is one of like my favorite things this year. I'll be really happy if that really pushes off. And the Tet and Xavier Legette stacks as well. I'm not mad about that. Yeah, you really couldn't pass on Judkins. As much as Joe pushes Warren, the situation is kind of garbage. Personally, also I have one of the least exposures that I do have on any wide receiver in this couple of rounds is definitely Jayden Reed. Jayden Reed just got hammered in this draft. I mean, drafting Golden where they took Golden, and then I believe they ended up taking somebody else. I'd be very, very upset if I was holding a lot of cards for Jayden Reed, Jordan Love stack. Really not a fan of that. Now, where I took Chris Godwin, I could have easily taken Jalen Waddle. And this is the thing. If you're low on Tyreek, and I know other creators feel very similarly of this, if you're low on Tyreek, you should be very high on Jalen Waddle. And Jalen Waddle going off in the 6th round is kind of criminal. Typically speaking, I would probably push him up a little bit into the 5th round, but with the climb of Travis Hunter, that's there. You see the first, all right, guys, this is the first jump. RJ Harvey goes from being a 13th, 14th round guy to a 7th rounder. That's huge. That's a huge jump. Comment in the chat how you guys feel about that, but that is a tremendous jump for RJ Harvey into the 7th round. Wild. All right, we're going to take Baker here at value. Build off that stack. And I'm not going to take Ibuka. I might push Jonnu here. I'm going to push Jonnu here, guys. Get a little bit of the Tua action if I can. And then we'll wait a little bit more for another wide receiver to come around. So we're going to take Jonnu here. A little higher than I'd like it, but he won't be back on the turn. So right now we're sitting BTJ, Devin A. Chan, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Alvin Kamara, Baker, Jonnu. Solid start. Yeah, having 0% read is the smartest way to go. I got locked in a couple of times on DraftKings, at least, where I was sitting at the first pick, and I hated the first pick for a lot of reasons because it kind of forces you into Chase or Barkley. And, I like to take Bijan and I like to pull people up sometimes. But so many times Jaden Reed was still sitting there and it's like, well, what if? And his volume is such a concern. Then there's those questions. It's like, what if? And in no inclination, is this the wide receiver room? Did I say, or did I think that they were going to add more wide receivers to, similar to Tampa Bay? I didn't think they would add more wide receivers to Green Bay, and yet they did. So there's even more mouths to feed. Having Josh Jacobs say what he said, I mean, it's important because they need to move the ball, and Josh Jacobs can't run the ball exclusively like he was running towards the back end of the year. I think it's also a good thing for Jacobs as well, is that it will keep him healthier throughout the season. He will still get a good amount of work in the red zone. I don't think that they'll be passing a lot in the red zone. So I'm all about Josh Jacobs, and they did need a number one wide receiver. So, fair enough for them to go out and grab Golden. So after adding HN, someone offered me 104, a late first next year, and a second in 2027. It's a free league, so I like having fun. Family, it's all about fun, especially in free leagues where time will tell what happens there. But free leagues, I've had some crazy stuff happen in free leagues. Free leagues are some of my favorite things, especially back in the days on Yahoo when it was just the Wild West. Travis Hunter here went pick 53. So like we said the other day, I would consider taking him over Zay. But I would never take him over guys like Jamison Williams, Devonta Smith, and Rome, in my opinion. I wouldn't push him up that high. And I definitely wouldn't take him over DK. So the tight ends start coming off the board. Bashal Tutin climbing to the 9th. Love to see it. Tyrone Tracy falling to the 9th. We'll see what the rookies there have going on. So Hunter in Dynasty went 3, 4, and 8. That's crazy. It's kind of criminal that he went 8th in Dynasty. He should be up there even higher. All right, so we might come in and get a running back here. We're going to pass on McMillan. I think I'm going to shoot probably for a lot of timeshare running backs here. I'm going to push Mason because I like the conversation that they're having about goal line touches, especially in a non-PPR setting. I think that's okay. And I might push Cam Scatterboo as well. The landing spot's kind of weird. You know what? No. You know what? Joe will hate me for it, but I might have to go Isaiah Pacheco. We'll see. I'm going to go Scattaboo. Situation's good enough. Yeah, that's the thing now, where we see that Pacheco hasn't been taken. Now we're sitting in the 10th round. The feelings that we all have about Isaiah Pacheco might be unwarranted. If Ken Walker gets moved, that will be a great thing for Damian Martinez. I like the idea of that with Charbonnet, but at the same point in time, these rooms where there's genuinely 3 running backs that are very, very good, but not like super excellent. Ken Walker, you could qualify as an excellent player when he's healthy. It will be a challenge. Charbonnet would be good if Walker gets moved, for sure. If Walker does get moved and they just roll Damian Martinez and Charbonnet, you will see a rise. You'll probably see Charbonnet move into that range of 7th round, right after, maybe even above Najee. So you could see him maybe even above Najee. There goes Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco here pairing with Kenneth Walker, Judkins, and yeah, so that could pay off for that guy sitting here at 7. All right, so we got to make a plan for the next couple of picks here. We'll start lining up some guys. Let's see where we're at. All right, so Mims, Bateman, Hollywood Brown just went off the board. Colston Loveland, nice pick on the Colston Loveland. I think that's not bad at all. Cole Kmet is dead, quite frankly, in terms of fantasy production. He was dead last year. He'll continue to be dead this year. Yeah, that would have been painful. Guy with 10th in that league, watch Hunter, Judkins, and Warren. Oh my God. I would probably cry. I am pushing Blue up a little bit higher. I'm very curious in this first one back where Blue goes. Again, I wouldn't push him up too high. Probably I'd like to get him in the 13th. If I could get him in the 13th to pair with Scattaboo, Mason, Achane, and Kamara, I would. Like I said, I'm not sold on Kamara, but in the 6th round, it's really, really difficult to pass him up. Charbonnet is still on the board. That can mean a lot for a lot of different people. It'd be nice to get into some of the Jaden Higgins of the world. There goes Sharps. It'd have been wild if he came back. Again, Quentin Johnston's kind of dead, kind of not. You have a lot of players here that are kind of in that same situation. We're going to queue up Tua because when we pick, yeah, we'll queue up Tua. Tua will be one of the picks. And then I might go, let's see here. We might go Higgins here. Yeah. We're going to go Tua first. And then we'll see if Higgins is there on the comeback. See, Dylan Sampson's climbing up as well. The situation's not great. I think this really paid off for Isaac Guerrero. DJ Giddens is kind of only a handcuff now, kind of dead. Now, I hate Javonte Williams, but again, will he pan out with Jaden Blue there? There's really no skin off your back if that happens. Devin Neal a little bit later could take some role from Alvin Kamara. I don't see it as being like a tremendous thing right now, but we might want to get him a little bit later. Tight end, is there anybody here that I like? Nah. All right. So we're probably going to roll in. So Jane Higgins went there. We could take Leggett. We could take Dobbs. We'll roll out Noel here. Let's see if we can find him. All right. All right. So time me out with Isaac Guerrero. I'm okay with that. Not upset. We'll queue up Jalen Noel on the comeback. So we're sitting here kind of pretty. We're at 5 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 quarterbacks. We got Baker, Tua, H.N. Kamara, Mason, Scadaboo, Garendo, BTJ, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Godwin, and Jonnu. I'm not mad about that. Dark side, I will be queuing up Noel for the next pick. I do like Noel a lot. That's why I was okay passing on Higgins. I'll have my portfolio up on Higgins and with Noel a lot. And like I said, Blue will probably be on the radar as well. We'll see how Javonte v. Blue goes, because if I can get Blue as my 6th running back, I'll be okay with that. Yeah, I mean, Komet right now, family is dead. I mean, I really don't see a conversation. It's similar to I have about Romeo Dobbs. With Golden and the other wide receivers that were added there, I just don't see a pathway. Same with Thielen. I'm kind of out on Thielen now as well. I don't see a pathway for him to be successful. We might load up, I don't want Cam. We might load up Kyle Pitts here. Let me make sure I'm not in trouble. I'm willing to take Noel. Again, you know, we got 18 rounds, so we're not going after another quarterback. We're just going to roll. We're going to roll 2 tight ends probably, because this is not 20 rounds like the early ones were. So I think I'm done on running backs. Maybe we'll queue up Blue if time allows. We'll see. So let's get a couple other wide receivers here. Wicks is kind of dead as well. Tillman is alive. I'm going to take Tillman. Tillman's they didn't go after a wide receiver. We're probably going to go Noel and then Tillman. Maybe Pierce. All right. We'll be good on those 3. I kind of like Royals too. Where's Kyle Williams? I want a little bit of Kyle Williams too, if he's still on the board. Kyle Williams was taken. That was a good pick. So we see Kyle Williams went much higher than I thought. Okay, he went 133 right before my pick. All right, let's queue it up. We're going to take Noel. Hey, Terrence, how's it going, man? All right, we're going to take Noel here, and then we're going to come back and take Tillman or Pierce, whichever one is available. I'm not mad at that. All right, Terrence. The Bears whiffed in the draft. Loveland was a drastic overpay. I agree. I said that, in terms of fantasy, were we looking at Loveland at least? Loveland got drafted after I make this pick here, Terrence. I will see where Loveland got drafted. I believe it was like the 9th round. And in terms of value there, that is okay. So Loveland got taken in the 10th round. So I think Colston Loveland at the 10th round isn't terrible. But the question that goes through my mind is, would I have taken Cole Kmet in the 10th round? And I wouldn't. So no matter how talented I think Colston Loveland is in this team that has now a tremendous kind of like, we're questioning target share and how many targets these players are going to get, and that Colston Loveland looks like a Sam Laporta kind of prototype, I'm still not sold on it. I don't really want any part of Colston Loveland this year, even at that tremendous value. But it was a way overpay by the Bears, way overpay. I really do think that they wanted Trevion Henderson. They wanted a running back. The way they were messing with the picks, Terrence, is they just kept on going and were like, oh, we didn't get a running back, we'll just move back. Oh, we didn't get a running back, we'll just move back. And then they ended up taking the guy from Rutgers, whose name I can't really pronounce right now, Monengai. So, they got a guy, but is it the guy that they wanted? I'm not entirely sure that they actually wanted him, and they probably wanted Trevion Henderson more than that. So there goes Jadon Blue in the 14th round. Again, that's exactly where I said he should go, 13th, 14th round. If you take Judkins, it does make Monty tradable. I'm not entirely sold that we're going to get a good year out of Monty. I understand that the value is still there, but where we have to take him is not great. If you can flip him and commit for Hawkinson, I'd totally do that. Yeah, Loveland was totally like, well, I was a little bit surprised that the Jaguars traded up and gave up so much. And then, you know, I was like, okay, that's all right. And then the Bears, what they did, and I was like, okay. And then the craziest thing in the draft on Thursday for me was Houston trading down, right? I was like, okay, they're going to draft an offensive lineman, and that didn't happen. And then they just kept drafting wide receivers, which was crazy to me. Yeah, dark side. I'm going to be pumping the brakes on Rashee Rice at value. I do still like Rashee Rice a lot, but probably by July, we'll know a little bit more about what the true value of Rashee Rice is in these tournaments. I'm not willing to invest so much in him at this moment in time. All right, so we got 4 rounds left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sitting at 6 wide receivers. 1 tight end. All right, we're going to go with Brenton Strange here. Oh, I forgot all about Trevor Lawrence. I got so excited about Tua that I forgot to take Trevor. Oh, it happens. I'm okay with Tua. I should have been paying a little bit more attention there. But that's all right. All right, let's see who we got. Cole Kmet's dead. Coker. Is Coker still alive? Probably. Io Manor. Fanning could be interesting. Gesicki, again, interesting. Hunter Henry. Will he get some more red zone looks? Yeah, not so sure about that. Now I don't want to take Diami. All right. We're going to go. We're just going to take Coker here. I think they're going to move the ball a little bit better. Royals and blue are 2-1 in the 3rd round. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Dynasty, blue in the 3rd is probably really, really nice. Royals the same way. If you can get them pretty late, I'm absolutely okay with something like that. Yeah, I missed out on Trevor here. Trevor went round 11 right before Tua. So if he would have been there, I probably would have taken them both. But I'm okay with not taking Trevor because I really don't like Trevor Lawrence. Dark side, I agree with you. He's just a bum. He will put up, he can. This is the thing that we talked about with a guy like Caleb Williams sometimes, and with guys like Stafford, and to a lesser degree, is that they might not have a great game, but their wide receivers can definitely have a great game. It's not like they're going to go out there and throw 4 touchdowns. So the need for Trevor Lawrence, I don't really need that because I don't think he's going to go out and throw 4 touchdowns all the time. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I am okay, even if I have Brenton Strange and BTJ, I'm okay passing on that. All right, let's see here. Terrence, I think the Cowboys will have CeeDee Lamb will have like 180, 200 targets if like they can't do anything else. It doesn't look like they're going to do anything else. They didn't go out and get a wide receiver at all. They didn't have a running back that is like credible at this point in time because Javonte Williams is not him. And I just don't understand. I don't understand the point of that. So we're at 2.572. We've got 2 picks left. Do I want a quarterback with the health of my 2 quarterbacks, Baker and Tua? Probably not. Do I want to flip in another tight end here? Probably. Am I okay with 5 running backs? Yeah, probably. All right, guys, what do you think? Running back, wide receiver, or 2.572? You go running back, wide receiver. I like the idea of Harold Fannin. I just don't like the situation. Justice Hill is interesting to me. All these wide receivers are kind of the same. Torrey Horton is interesting enough. Westbrook Akine, I could go Westbrook Akine. They didn't really do anything there. I could line him up. That's fine. We'll go Westbrook Akine. Jalen Naylor got hit hard. Again, all of the wide receivers on this room right now are not guys that I'm really interested in. Chamari Dyke could be interesting. I just don't think that he's going to pass anybody but Calvin Ridley. We'll see. Tesla, that room's crowded. Roman Wilson, Jalen Lane. Lots of interesting options here. Some that could definitely be cuts or practice squad guys. I think I'm going to go with Westbrook Akine, I think. Hey, Chandler, what's going on? Oh, yeah, Taj Brooks, dude. Yeah, you're right. We're going to Woody Marks. That's an interesting choice. We're going to go Taj Brooks here and Westbrook Akine. We're going to go 2-6-8-2. That could really screw us if Tua gets hurt, but that's okay. I'm willing to kind of eat that as it is. I think that's the kind of, if I was going like with a rookie quarterback, maybe I wouldn't go 2-5-7-2. But I think the guys that we have are pretty sustainable. We're going to go Taj Brooks here. Yeah, I mean, like, again, like I said earlier in the episode, when you have Chase Brown, and Chase Brown should get a decent amount of volume, and they went out and got Taj Brooks late instead of going out and get a running back early, maybe that means that they're really in on Chase Brown. Maybe not. But if that's the case, fine. If it's not, I'm willing to kind of roll the dice on Taj this late. See, Cole Kmet, dead pick. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to be taking Cole Kmet after he really didn't show anything this season, and really didn't do anything, in prior seasons other than, a couple games with a lot of bonus points. I'm just not sold on it. Chandler, what's up, man? 12-team PPR, trade the 2-1 and a 2026 first for Ladd and Aaron Jones. I got Johnson for Pitt as my running back this year with the 112. Don't really like anything with this pick that's left. Need a depth running back like Jones. Renfro signed with the Panthers. Could play some slot. He could, but I think he's a foregone conclusion that he's not like up to snuff. I'd do this. I think Ladd is tremendously getting slept on. I understand that, that the Chargers have made it their effort to say, hey, we are going to run the ball. We went out and got Najee. We went out and have Marion Hampton. We're going to run the ball. But with that, there are going to be times, and again, Herbert's probably not going to throw the ball 30 sometimes. If he stabilizes somewhere in like that 27 range, I think the targets are going to be fine. You look at the Chargers kind of room here, all right? And you look at the wide receiver specifically. You get out Trey Harris, you get Mike Williams. Our Mike Williams stock is probably dead a little bit from the early best balls. Trey Harris is probably going to take some looks. But again, Ladd was a chain mover last year. And you just don't stop giving the ball to your chain mover when you need to. So I feel like for this specific trade, Chandler, I feel like Ladd is tremendous. Now, the next year's first, if you legitimately think that you have a chance to win this year with Ladd on your team, then you should get Ladd on your team. If you still think that you are a year away, we don't know necessarily how that room is going to shake out next year. But Ladd is there now, and so is Aaron Jones. And they're going to play, and they're going to play a great deal. So I see that as something that I would do, Chandler. I really like Ladd. I think Ladd is good enough. He's going in Best Ball Mania right now. In the second round, he could easily turn in another great season. Yeah, his targets might go down a little bit, but again, with somebody of that talent level, you just don't stop giving him the ball. And maybe there are more touchdowns in this market because now they're going to most likely be able to move the ball a little bit better. So I really like Ladd. I'm willing to take him. So reviewing what we got here, First round, nothing too crazy from the first round. Second round, nothing crazy like that. I do like that Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor stack. Devontae, Brees is pretty good to have Brees as your third running back. Taking a look at those wide receivers, though, let's see. So Oye, all right. So he's sitting there with Joe Burrow, Herbert, Cam, McCaffrey, Taylor, Brees. Great combination there. Wide receivers are a little suspect. I'm not sold on the Keenan Allen, Wandale, Tolbert. 3 solid tight end options as well. We come down here to my team here, 2,682 projected. We got Baker, Tua, Achane, Kamara, Mason, Scadaboo, Garendo, Taj Brooks, solid room. Brian Thomas Jr., DJ Moore, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Noel, Tillman, Coker, Westbrook-Akine, Jonnu, Bretton Strange. Maybe we want to change those 2 tight ends up a little bit more. Taking a look at the number 1 pick with Josh Allen, Drake May, nice combination. Joe Mixon, Travion Henderson. There's a lot of uncertainty in that room as well. The ETN Bashal Tootin doesn't really make any sense to me. Feel free to call out in the chat here. How do you guys feel about the ETN Tootin Bigsby situation? I definitely wouldn't be rostering both or 2 of the Jacksonville running backs. But again, question marks. Wide receiver room for this team: Chase, Higgins, Golden, Diggs, Harris, Beck, Palmer. Decent enough value on Harris and Golden. Kate Otten and Mason Taylor might not work out as a combination there. This guy's got Fields, Stafford, Darnold. Okay. Barkley, Irving, like that. The rest of that room is just okay. Garrett Wilson, Roma Dunze, DK, Jaden Reed. A lot of stuff happening here. To get both McMillan and Igbuka, I mean, that's I'm lukewarm about that. All right. Again, we have a pretty good team here. Looking back at it, I think that when we queue up another one here, we'll be looking at a decent amount of differential. So let's queue up another one here. So let's go to drafts. Let's queue up another best ball mania. Let's run a second one here. Let's see how long it takes to queue up. So we're looking and waiting with a couple people. Queue up another one. We usually don't do 2 a stream, but it's the first day of Best Ball Mania. Joe's not here, so we're going to queue up a second one, see how it shakes down. I think I'd be looking at I'd love to get the 7th pick. Probably try to get a CD or a Puka if I'm at the 5 hole. I think I'd be okay lining up one of those guys. Bijan is nice. It allows you to build out a different type of team. So we'll see. We got 2 people waiting. We're going to queue up a couple guys here just in case. Again, you all know that I am huge on Nico. The metrics and the optics are huge for Nico. I am not upset that he has more weapons in that room because it actually, I think, works in Nico's favor. You don't have to push the ball on Nico so much. I think we're going to get one of these 3 guys here. Yeah. Malik, maybe. I think we're going to get one of those 3 guys. I might push Genty up a little bit, but again, the landing spot of the Raiders is so tricky. He's going to get a decent amount of work, but I am just not a fan of a Raiders running back. We know Josh Jacobs was very successful as a Raiders running back. But since then, it's been kind of a hodgepodge and a kind of a mess. The defenses aren't terrible in that division, so he's going to have to be really, really good to really make back value there. How's everybody feeling about Christian McCaffrey, by the way, too? Like I said, taking Garendo, they didn't go out and get another running back. There's a lot. There's a lot. I don't want to get hurt by Christian McCaffrey again, so there's a little bit of hesitation from me for that. So there goes CD at 2. Again, 200 plus targets potentially. That's crazy. We got J. Jeff. Here comes the Gibbs slide. Bijan potential slide. Will these people want a wide receiver instead of a running back? That's the question. There goes Bijan. You could easily see Gibbs right here. Gibbs might fall to 7. With Dallas not going out there and getting another wide receiver, you know, Justin Jefferson falling there. Again, Nico, my boy, falling to or going to 6. Rough. Like I said, I'd rather have pick 6. I might not get any of my guys. All right, Malik Neighbors. All right. Let's roll into Puka here. I am so satisfied with Puka at 9. Extremely satisfied with Puka at 9. Let me queue up a couple other guys as we get in the board here. So we got Genty at 10. Again, this is kind of the lay of the land. Some people will value these wide receivers a little bit more. Some people will value the running backs, but still only 4 running backs taken in the first round is not unusual. You're going to see a large string of running backs being taken coming out of here. Do we take Devin Achane again if he's there, or do we go AJ Brown to hopefully build out a different stack? Brock Bowers is there. You guys know I'm not a huge Brock Bowers guy. Drake London, AJ Brown, Ladd, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor's not in any imminent danger. Derrick Henry's there. You know, I'm willing to take JT here. We'll push JT up. I know that's kind of an unusual thing to do, is push JT up above Derrick Henry. But again, when we look at JT and we think about where his volume is, the quarterback situation hasn't really gotten any better. They went out and I believe they got Riley Leonard as well. There's going to be a lot of carries for JT. There's going to continue to be a lot of carries for Derrick Henry. In some of my portfolio, I'll definitely be taking Derrick Henry. In some of it, I'll definitely be taking Jonathan Taylor. I really like both of those guys this year. When they get to the point of a lost season, I think they pack it in. I mean, that's what we thought last year when Dak went down and Cooper Rush came in, and Cooper Rush ended up just continuing to pepper him the ball. So I could see, like Joe and I were saying across the whole season last year, I could see CeeDee Lamb giving up and asking to be traded. I could totally see that happening. You know, maybe those targets come down to a more realistic number, but they have Jalen Tolbert. I mean, like, they literally have not done anything to make their wide receiver room better. They haven't really done anything to make their team better. So it's a very questionable move on their part in a wide receiver class that was okay to not even go out there and get one of them. Not even one. I mean, they could have, and they didn't. I mean, Xavier Restrepo was sitting there as an undecided, unrestricted free agent, and the Tennessee Titans picked him up instead of the Cowboys. It made no sense. If Jeremiah Smith can take summer classes and end up in this next year's draft, the Cowboys would be all on it. I mean, the Cowboys have probably the most underwhelming roster you could possibly have at this point in time. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I do not like the 3 running back start. It really puts you behind the 8 ball when it comes to the wide receivers. I see that, but again, it's not there yet. Josh Allen still sitting here. Now I'm kind of regretting going JT because I would have went Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Let's see. Let's see where it lands up. Yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Smith is another one of those generational kind of wide receiver prospects. Absolutely love the potential for Jeremiah Smith. That team's not that bad. Chase Brown, 3rd round. Okay. Nico, Achane, Chase Brown. All right, that's okay. I feel like my team here is going to be a little bit okay as well with Puka and JT. Bucky landing all the way down there. Devin Achane sliding a little bit. There goes Evans. I have to say, if Josh Allen's on the board at this pick, I'm going to go Josh Allen. I know I should take a wide receiver here, but he's on the board. I'm taking him. I think it'd be silly to pass him up, especially in the third round. Hey Jesse, what's up, man? We're in the second best Ball Mania draft of the day. We're gonna do 2 today. Best Ball Mania just came out today. Lots of interesting things are happening. Travis Hunter got pushed up hard. RJ Harvey got pushed up hard. Some other guys are sliding. There is value to be had. Starting here with Puka, JT, and Josh Allen for this draft. You know, maybe pushing Josh Allen up into the third is a little bit much in Underdog here because there's not a lot of bonuses. There's not any bonuses at all. But I didn't want to lose him out on the turn there. So I'm okay losing out on Adams. I won't be pushing Stafford too much. Maybe push him a little bit later to pair with Puka. Lamar there in the fourth is nice. Again, I probably wouldn't got him again. All right. Do we go JMO or Brees? I'm going to go JMO. I like JMO a little bit more. Could go Cook. We're going to go JMO. Cook is I could have picked Cook there. Wouldn't have been a bad choice to pair with JT. We'll see what happens on the comeback. I like JMO a little bit more. Willing to bring JMO up to pair with Puka. Again, when they have really big games, the games are huge. When they have bad games, they're bad. But again, we're playing for a nice ceiling. I think this team gets you a nice ceiling. I'm scared of Evans this year, having a backup plan in place with Ibuka, and he barely made the 1K. I'm scared of him this year. Yeah, I mean, I took Mike Evans in the draft that we did before this, Terrence. I paired Mike Evans with Chris Godwin and Baker. There's a lot of inherent risk in that. I talked about that a little bit. I do agree with you that they are setting themselves up to replace Mike Evans or Godwin in the near future. Taking Ibuka and having McMillan and doing what they did does signal to me that while Mike Evans is still a plan for this team, that they are preparing for the future. So pushing Mike Evans down your board isn't a bad move. He's still going to go in the third round. So Mike Evans is still going to go in the third round. He's still probably going to be a touchdown kind of dependent guy. In Underdog, I'm okay taking him as my second or third wide receiver. You know, third would be optimal to do that with. And I did take him as my third and last draft. I had BTJ, DJ Moore, and Mike Evans. In DraftKings, I might have him as a little bit higher. But, you know, in the third round is where he's going. But I would rather have Xavier Worthy over him. I would rather have Devontae Adams over him. A lot of the times, but unless I'm planning on that stack. So you got a Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow. Hate everything about that. Why would you take both? That really doesn't make any sense. There goes Waddle coming off the board pretty early. I'm okay with that. Let's queue up some guys. Rome is a decent choice. I might do Trevion here. Again, Kamara is sitting there. I don't want to go too heavy into Kamara. I think Ridley's still in a great situation. I might push Trevion and Ridley. Maybe Rome. We'll see how it shakes down. I don't believe in Ramondre Stevenson, so that's why I'm kind of pushing Trevion up a little bit higher. Pardon me. So there's Addison. Yeah, I don't think that I'd get Trevion on the comeback, so I'll have to take him now. Would have liked a Doomsday there. That'd have been nice. All right, so we pick Trevion. He'll be our RB2. It's not bad. James Cook is looking a little bit nicer there because I could, it is what it is. All right, so let's see. As we go through, we're probably going to queue in Calvin Ridley again. Like I've said time and time again, I am really not scared by even, Chamari Dyke or any of the draft capital that they've spent on these wide receivers. I still think Calvin, again, it could definitely help. It can definitely help a guy like Ridley in terms of being more productive in the red zone. It could eventually hurt him in yardage wise. Mixon falling down the board in round 5. I mean, it's not bad to get Joe Mixon in round 5. There goes Debo. I could go Laporta here. Yeah, there he goes. I could go Laporta. I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall. I like Pearsall. Again, not the strongest wide receiver room with Pearsall as a 3. I would have rather had Ridley. Kamara coming off in the 6th round. We just took Kamara in the last one. I think Kamara in the 6th round is super good value for what I mean. It's basically no skin off your back, right? You're looking at and you're saying, okay, well, if Kamara doesn't produce, okay, it's a 6th round pick, and I was probably already settled by then. If he does produce, you're getting huge value. So there's lots of ways to look at it. And I know Joe has a different opinion than me on the situation. And a guy like Sam Laporta, how will he be featured when, with a Ben Johnson-less offense? So I'm okay pumping the brakes a little bit on Laporta. I already have Josh Allen, so, pushing JMO and Laporta with a Goff, probably unnecessary at this point. I like Pearsall a lot. I'm okay with going into Pearsall at this point in time. What's my take on the Chargers offense? I think the Chargers offense is still going to be a very run-centric offense. We talked about this when I was talking about Ladd with family earlier in the last draft. I think it's still going to be run-centric because you go out there and you have Amarian Hampton and you have Najee Harris. Those are 2 guys that can really pound the rock. Now, what this means is that they're probably going to be spending a decent amount of time inching their way closer to the red zone. Ladd McConkey's a chain mover. He's an explosive player who is going to be relied upon a lot. Quentin Johnston, has rocks for hands. And so they bring in Trey Harris. I think Trey Harris is going to be a nice guy to go after in Best Ball Mania right now. The value is there. So I am absolutely okay pushing Trey Harris a little bit up my boards. I'm probably now not touching Mike Williams like we were going after him previously. But again, the offense should produce. And this is all predicated on the health because we know that the Chargers have had a hard time staying healthy. A guy like Pickens in the 7th round, I think could return massive value. But again, the Steelers didn't go after a quarterback. So what's that quarterback discussion going to look like? I think here I'm going to queue up Caleb. I really don't need Shakir. Because we could go with Keon Coleman. They didn't go after anybody. Let's look at the room. Yeah, Caleb Johnson's probably going to be the pick here if he's there. I like Shakir again, but when we look at Shakir's numbers, there's really nothing to write home about on a daily basis. And 144 points, he is a chain mover as well. But again, not utilized in the red zone very much. Shakir went. That's okay. We're going to queue up Caleb here. And I don't really know how to feel about Tyrone Tracy, man. Anybody share in the chat how they feel about Tyrone? They went after and they got a running back, but much later than we all thought. So does that mean that they like Tyrone a little bit more than everybody has thought? I don't know. It's a very good question. All right. So we're into the range here of guys that, you could go either way about them. I think the best one is probably Hawkinson. I might push Aaron Jones a little bit more. The same thing I said about Mason. There goes RJ Harvey again in the 7th round. Tremendous jump. I mean, absolutely tremendous jump. Again, Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scadaboo, all kind of, how's that fall? Luther Burden, Egbuka. I don't know if I'm willing to take a chance on them right now. Do we go Jalen Warren? Charbonnet is there. I'm not going to push Charbonnet up. Sitting here at 80. We could go Goff. I hate that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to hold off on that. We're not going to do anything about that. I think we're going to go Tyrone Tracy. We went Scadaboo last time. Let's go Tyrone this time. Not a huge fan of Tyrone Tracy for this season. I was last season. There's nothing super crazy to call home about. Went Scadaboo the last draft. And I think that's going to be kind of the discussion to have about Tyrone Tracy, Cam Scadaboo going forward. They didn't invest a huge part in Cam Scadaboo. So maybe that means they like Tyrone a little bit more. But again, if we're thinking about this offense and we're thinking about how everybody's thinking about thunder and lightning from now on, I mean, this is such an overused phrase from the Reggie Bush, Lindell White era, right? Where we go thunder and lightning, an in between the tackles and then somebody outside. Now, Cam Scadaboo is a little bit underrated in that regard where, he can catch passes and things. But when we look at it and say, well, Tyrone Tracy's a converted wide receiver, maybe in PPR, I'd be hammering Tyrone Tracy a little bit more. Yeah, George. Saw that. That's what we're talking about, man. Indianapolis Colts getting Tyler Warren. Joe, when he comes on Wednesday, will be so excited to just talk to you guys about that. But when we were talking about Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scadaboo, there's a lot of discussion to be had is that, will this offense be moving the ball better? If it is, I think both running backs will be involved. And if we're investing, 8th round, 9th round capital in them, it's not as doom and gloom as everybody, as we were all thinking of it before the draft. I still don't love it, but I'm okay putting up with it for a certain amount of time. I like I said, Terrence, I'm so indifferent to Tracy. It's like, okay, I think it might be a wasted pick by me, but we'll see. Mason, I think Mason will be fine. I think what they're telling us is Mason is going to be the goal line back because Aaron Jones has had a hard time being the goal line back. With that in tow, if you had a hard time being the goal line back and you went out there and you got Jordan Mason, fine. I mean, utilize him. He will be used. You see the precipitous fall of Najee. It is now the 9th round, and Najee still hasn't been taken yet. He's going to go soon. A lot of quarterbacks on the board right here in the 9th. We're going to avoid that. And I'm probably going to shoot for Shaheed here. Najee's still on the board. That's going to be a conversation to be had. How much will Omarion Hampton take away? Here's the thing. I think by week 7 that Najee's usage will be pulled back probably tremendously. So I think you're only getting probably like 7 or 8, maybe 8 good weeks out of Najee. Maybe they'll platoon him a little bit differently. Maybe Najee will be the running back to own for a decent amount of the year. There he goes, finally. That's wild. All right, so we're definitely going to take – I want to take Shaheed here. And I think on the comeback, we're definitely going to queue up Kincaid somewhere along the line with Josh Allen, so he's not completely naked. And I think I'm going to take Charbonnet. Again, Sharbs is kind of the guy. He came out last year, got a couple touchdowns, looked good. Will they use him? We'll see. So we're going to queue up Charbonnet. If he gets taken, I mean, Tyler Warren's still there. I'm not a huge fan of the situation. If I would have went Pittman, maybe. There goes Goff. Yeah, I think Charbonnet's the guy here. And we'll just wait a little bit more on tight end. Could take Trey Harris too. Where's Trey Harris falling? 108, projected 108. So this is kind of the time for Trey Harris if we want him. I think we're going to take Charbonnet first, though. Again, the Damian Martinez hit is interesting. The pick of Damian Martinez really late makes me a little bit intrigued by Charbonnet, like you were saying in the chat. I'm not quite 1,000% sure how that room is going to shake down. Again, if Ken Walker is healthy and Ken Walker's on the team, Ken Walker is going to get the majority of the snaps because he's a better player, hands down, than Zach Charbonnet. However, if they do move on from Walker, let's say Walker ends up in Dallas. Say something crazy, a trade happens in the offseason, and Walker ends up with Dallas. Well, then you got Charbonnet and Martinez. Both guys can run the ball. Both guys are pretty good. Will they utilize them? That is a good question. The two running backs that I just selected in Tyron Chasey and Zach Charbonnet, I am not like in love with those picks. But again, in this range right now, in this 8th, 9th, 10th range, there's not a lot to really be in love with. This is the range typically, as you saw on DraftKings that we were doing, where you're seeing a lot of quarterbacks come off the board, a lot of tight ends come off the board. So if you want to be a little bit different in that capacity, don't take a tight end, don't take a quarterback in this round, and kind of play around with pieces like Tyrone, play around with pieces like Cam, play around with pieces like Mason and Charbonnet and Bateman and McMillan. Like looking at the board, you're looking at these wide receivers, Mims, Burden, Shaheed, Pittman, McMillan, Bateman, Mooney, Kupp, and Igbuka, that they could have okay seasons. It's nothing to kind of write home about, nothing to be excited about. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people not going after anybody else there. So let's queue up a couple other guys here. So we definitely want Kincaid at one of our picks on the comeback here. We definitely want that. And we're going to take a chance on Trey Harris, I think, on the comeback as well. So we're going to queue up Trey, queue up Kincaid. Hopefully we can get both of them. Tyler Warren is still on the board. Joe will be happy to know that Tyler Warren is still on the board in the 11th round. Joe famously said that he would take him as high as the 5th round, depending on the landing spot. He landed in the Colts. George, I know you love that. I love it too. As a fantasy landing spot, it's definitely pushing him down the board. I mean, completely. Because again, if we're looking at where the touchdown market is, in a PPR league, I might be a little bit more in on Tyler Warren. In this league, though, where it's half PPR, I'm kind of out. I'm looking for big play potential out of the guys that I took, and I only have one PPR merchant, which should be Ricky Pearsall. So, I'm willing to pump the brakes a little bit on Tyler Warren. So we have Kincaid, Trey Harris. I think I'm going to prioritize Trey here. I know his ADP is a little bit later. There goes Tyler Warren coming off the board. All right, we're going to take Trey. I know it's a little high. Hopefully I don't lose out on Kincaid. I think we're probably only rocking Josh Allen this build, potentially. Trey Benson, they didn't go out and get anybody else in the draft. Trey Benson could be a great pick here too. I'm sitting here already with 5 running backs. I don't know if I want to invest in another one right now. So I think we're going to land on Kincaid here for the first tight end. It's not a delightful wide receiver room, guys, but I think it's definitely something that could perform, health withstanding. We'll see how it goes. So we have Dalton Kincaid queued up. Let's see what happens. Kincaid is queued up. There goes Tucker Kraft. Yeah, I mean, like he's definitely going to be treated like that, RM. I mean, Mason is definitely going to be treated like that. Coming in, Jack Beck, climbing the board. I'm okay with that. Again, with the Raiders, I mean, you're banking on Geno to be what Geno was kind of the first year he was in Seattle. And I don't know if the Raiders are set up like that. I really don't. So I'm not pushing him up my board at all. All right. So we're going to take Kincaid there. I have Josh Allen. That's the reason for the Kincaid pick. Get a little bit of a connection there because again, Josh Allen can do it by himself. So I'm not really pushing anybody too much with him. And I think Kincaid or Palmer is kind of the least defensible option without taking Shakir in the 7th round. Because again, Shakir and Pearsall kind of profile the same if they both do the like, and I don't really want two guys that are the PPR merchants that aren't scoring touchdowns in a league like this. All right, so we're gonna see Trey Benson. I mean, we could queue up Matt Stafford if we felt like we wanted to have some floor if Josh Allen were to go down at all. I'm going to look into Kyle Pitts here. We'll see how that goes. Bryce Young could be interesting, could be exciting. I doubt it, though, at this point with Josh Allen on my team. If you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, you might not be looking at another quarterback for quite some time. I think that 13th, 14th round, especially with this being 18 rounds only and not 20 rounds, that's 2 extra picks that you're not getting. And we want to invest them in some places. I think I am going to go with Stafford, probably. Maybe Bryce Young. We'll queue him up. Maybe get a little bit of Bryce Young, Jalen Coker. Maybe. Again, Jalen Noel is there. So if CJ Stroud is there, maybe we could take a little bit of CJ. Just some interesting. We'll unqueue Kyle Pitts because there's a couple guys we like later. So we have Puka already. So if we want to queue up Matt Stafford, we can. Bryce Young has proven that he could get a bunch of points if given it. We could pair him up with Coker. I know people are pretty down on Coker right now. Would I draft Dak, Jesse? I would. We were drafting Dak before the draft. Right now, I'm not so sure. As Terrence and I were talking about earlier, they got no weapons. And CD can't carry the load that much. CD will not get 42 touchdowns. So you have to ask yourself, is Jalen Tolbert, is Kevontae Turpin good enough to get Dak to that threshold of touchdowns that we want? So we're going to take CJ off the board. Yeah, CJ already took himself off the board. So hold on, let me get back to that in a minute. So we're at 222, 15, 19, 15 and 9, 28, not so far off. I think that Bryce could be good. Let's go after Leggett first. Let's go after Leggett first and see how it lies. When we look at the board and we say, okay, if Dak is going to be successful, he needs weapons. And when we look at it, where Dak is going right now, Dak is going 11th round. And Dak totally has the profile to be a great quarterback. He's done it multiple times before, but he's also done it with weapons. And is Jake Ferguson the only thing there with CeeDee Lamb? And if that's the case, I'm not quite sure that he can get to the threshold that guys like Drake May might get to, or guys like Tua might get to, or CJ Stroud or JJ McCarthy. I don't think it's possible. So, that is the conversation to be had. I'm not willing to invest in Dak anymore unless I have CD. And at that point in time, I think that's the only reason I'd take Dak. I mean, this guy has CD, so that's fine. But you're walking in, and Joe might have a different opinion, but you're walking into some hardship there because, again, he gets injured sometimes. Pardon me. The offensive weapons are really nothing to scoff at. You can scoff at them, but the offensive line hasn't gotten leaps and bounds better. They have Jadon Blue and Javonte Williams. Okay, that doesn't really strike fear in me yet. We have to see what that team comes across in the 11th round. Sure, if you want to take them. But I'm kind of out on him right now. We'll see what June and July come across, Jesse. But right now, it's just not looking good for Dak. No weapons. CD's going to be frustrated. He's going to be frustrated. Like Terrence said, there is a reasonable argument that you can make that, CD's going to want out of Dallas soon. Again, like I said, I wasn't going to take a second quarterback with Josh Allen there. I did decide to take Bryce Young, taking Xavier Legette. I know they just went out and got Tet. Tet's going to cost us now. Tet just went before JMO, so I didn't have a realistic chance at him anyway. But I did take him right after, the guy took Cam Ward, Penix, and Trevor Lawrence. I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have taken 3, especially in 18 rounds like this. Devin Neal is still on the board. We could go 2, 6, 6, 2 there. We have 4 rounds left. 1, 2, 3, 4. If Devin Neal is here, maybe he's our guy. Damian Martinez. That's why the Zach Charbonnet pick could be really good. I think I'm going to take Alec Pierce here if he's still available. Maybe some Braylon Allen. Joe hates Braylon Allen. I think there's a lot to like about Braylon Allen. We will queue up Hunter Henry as well. Get a little bit of that AFC tight end magic going on. All right. I'm going to take Pierce here. Going with some long touchdowns. Looking at my team, Puka, JMO, Pearsall, Rashichi, Trey Harris, Xavier Legette, Alec Pierce. We've got 3 guys on this team, could all spike 30-plus yard touchdowns. I like that combination, especially early like this. Get a little bit of that touchdown value as it is. The Indianapolis Colts went out and got Warren. You can make the argument in the conversation that they're going to be able to move the ball a little bit more. Pairing Alec Pierce up with, JT, going without Anthony Richardson because the quarterback situation is kind of sticky. We'll see what happens there. I think we're probably going to take Hunter Henry here. Maybe we hold out for Harold Fannin. AJ Barner. AJ Barner just got dropped, though, because of that. Cole Kmet, Kate Otten, I'm not a fan of either. I think Hunter Henry could do really well. So we're going to take Hunter Henry here. Hunter Henry paired up with Kincaid is kind of a low. I'm not super excited about that. It's really a low kind of output potential. But Kincaid, I'm more excited about than Hunter Henry right now. But again, I could see both of them doing just kind of average. Just kind of average there. Mostert, I don't understand that at all. I don't understand that in the least bit. Mostert right now seems undraftable. Again, Kate Otten, probably undraftable as well. You could take him, but I just wouldn't. Considering what he did last year, had to be without all of the wide receivers. So quite frankly, I think he's probably one of the worst picks that you could take at tight end this year. Noah Brown, again, another wide receiver that doesn't kind of strike fear. Harold Fannin, I think it's a weird landing spot with Cleveland with David Njoku. But I can definitely see David Njoku kind of nurturing the tight endness in him. And maybe that turns out really well. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year. Wandale, again, a solid, if not underwhelming pick in a half PPR league. Jalen Wright, Blake Corum, again, the Rams didn't go out and get anybody. So, but going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just so running backs to pair with David Montgomery and Tank Bigsby. I don't like that at all by pick number 1. He's just rolling out 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I don't like the players, but I guess the selections are just okay. Let's get into where we're at here. So I probably want to hit another wide receiver here. maybe a third tight end with the tight ends that I do have. I want a wide receiver here. Maybe we go, I'm going to pair up probably Brashard Smith this time. There goes Jalen Blue. Like I said, there could potentially be no competition for Isaiah Pacheco with Brashard Smith, but then maybe there could. We talked a little bit earlier about Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks is a nice guy to go after in this kind of conversation. And I'm probably going to queue up Yoshivas. Again, they didn't go out and get anybody new. So we're going to get the portfolio a little bit here, go with Brashard Smith, and then we're going to take Yoshivas as the 8th wide receiver. In the off chance that one of those other wide receivers gets dinged, we can go with that. All right, guys. So we've got 2 in the books. 2 best ball manias in the books. We're going to queue up Yoshivas here and take Yoshivas. We'll be back Wednesday, 3:45 Eastern. Joe should be back. He was feeling a little bit unwell today. Feel free, if you want to join us in an Underdog Best Ball Mania here, feel free to join us, but we'll be back 3:45 Eastern on Wednesday. Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the love. And we'll be doing this all summer long. Peace out.